It's no secret that the Ford F-150 has been one of the best-selling trucks in America for like the past 50 years or so since its debut. There's been multiple variations of the F-150, and the most famous version of that truck is going to be the F-150 Lightning that we all know and love. And no, I'm not talking about the fully electric one yet, at least. But we're actually here to talk about the first gen Lightning, and personally, I might get some hate for this. That's my favorite generation Lightning. I think it looks the best. I like the square body looks of that truck. Let's just jump right into it. Let's do a deep dive on the first generation Lightning. My name's Trent, and you're watching God and X. The Ford F-150 Lightning is truly a vehicle of many hats, whereas it's got the performance of the Mustang GTs of the time and the practicality of owning just a standard F-150 and the towing capacity that you could all the towing capacity you could possibly want at that time. And it's been proven that the Lightning is one of the most well-known packages in its lineup. But let's discuss where the Lightning got its name from originally. If there's one thing that can be counted among enthusiasts, no matter what they drive, it is a love of pure, spirited driving experience. In the days before the oil crisis, you had all these muscle cars that were putting out massive amounts of horsepower for that time. Big block V8, small block V8s. These were some great looking cars, full metal, and to be honest, gas guzzlers. The muscle cars of these time provided enthusiasts of all walks of life with fast, affordable, and fun to drive cars that you didn't have to worry about your gas consumption. You didn't have to worry about stuff like that. And due to this oil embargo, the cars shrank, favoring economy and cheapness over a Hot Wheel-esque look and pursuit of passion that all this car enthusiasts share. So we started getting smaller, uglier, more boring cars. And you probably know all the cars in the 80s were very, honestly, kind of ugly looking, very boxy. You've had some good looking cars, but most of them aren't very memorable. But people didn't lose that sense of speed and passion for their cars back then. It just wasn't as easily accessible as it was right before then. So car brands had to get smarter and start doing different things to give customers what they wanted. So car brands just picked up on the trend about people going out and driving cars again. And Ford decided to create an entire division that'd be born from the mentality known as Special Vehicle Operations Department, or better known as SVO for short. Their sole purpose for this entire company and this entire department was to create fast, factory-backed cars. And exactly one vehicle was produced in the US with the SVO name, the 1984 to 1986 Fox body Mustang SVO. They're pretty cool and unique looking. They look a little bit different than, the more favorable Fox body Mustangs, but they're honestly really cool cars. Throughout the 80s, these performance factory cars creeped back into the market, and they came in across all the big three that you see here in America: Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. However, most trucks were still at their standard full size, and the primary goal was just for work. A lot of work trucks came out of this time, but it wasn't until 1990 there was a sudden dramatic shift when Chevy released the Chevy 454 SS. One of my favorite trucks, honestly. I love the way this thing looks, and it's sick to see honestly, the very first, I'd say, muscle truck. We did have the Dodge had one in like the late 70s, but this is the first, I would say, real muscle truck in my opinion. And Chevy did what people had already been doing to cars. All these modified cars, they did that in their factory. They added these big block V8s, big engines, high performance, and put it into a truck. And to be honest, if you actually do look at this 454 SS, there's not too much, honestly. They just took a big engine, stuck it in a little truck, and they put on trick suspension, gave it a locking diff, and basically just called it a day. That was the only real changes on it. It had a sportier look. I feel like it sat a little bit shorter, but nothing was crazy done other than it had a high amount of performance. This was a simple yet timeless formula proved to both Ford and Dodge at that time. And yes, even truck enthusiasts have the speed bug. I have a truck. I like to go fast. It's not the fastest, but it's still fun to get up there in speed. A lot of people back then were also very mechanically inclined, and a lot of them wanted to upgrade the trucks on their own. So they were giving their cars performance like you'd see in the muscle cars. They were able to handle and accelerate just like the little sports cars that were on the road back then. And the market was there. Chevy just had the foresight to explore it, and Ford would not be left behind. They decided to go from SVO, they changed the name from SVO to SVT, or Special Vehicle Teams, in 1993, and the very first models they debuted were the Mustang SVT, and the first iteration of the Lightning truck, the one we're all here to talk about today. The 1993 F-150 SVT Lightning followed the success of the 454 SS, and it was an instant hit. People loved this truck. It looked great, sounded great. It was honestly just a really cool truck for the time. It was nice to see that Chevy had a competitor at that time as well. The original models were equipped with a 240 horsepower 351 Windsor. The engine came with factory GT40 high flow rate intake and heads, shorty headers, and an E40D 4-speed automatic transmission. The suspension was tuned with valuable input from former F1 driver Jackie Stewart. Ultimately, the truck was a lot lighter, more nimble, and had more usable power than the GM counterpart. And the first gen Ford Lightning had a 0 to 60 of 7.6 seconds and an EPA estimate of 12 miles per gallon in the city and 17 miles per gallon on the highway. Though not great numbers, those are really bad numbers in today's times, but back then it was pretty good. Although built as a reaction to GM's success, the Lightning was showered with positive reviews. And it was designed as a competitor to GM's 454 SS, and I think it did exactly what it was meant to do, and it's a great looking truck, and honestly, it's probably more memorable than the 454 SS. And if you actually do sit down to think about it, it's insane to think that they brought in an F1 driver to help develop a truck. Not a car, a truck. They drive little open wheel race cars around all day long. So to see them bring it in to make a nimble little truck like this, super powerful, it's really cool thought to sit and think about. It was really cool to hear that they had brought somebody from outside to help develop a car. And to be honest, I thought they would have more focused on the Mustangs and stuff, just because sports cars are never going to die out. Neither are trucks, but muscle trucks were in a unique category of their own. And it may not seem like 240 horsepower may not seem like a lot in today's standards, but you got to remember back then cars were not pushing out numbers like they are today. 240 horsepower in a truck, a small truck like this, was absolutely unheard of. And it was unheard of to see a car or a truck, especially a truck, hit 0 to 60 in well under 10 seconds. So it's a pretty impressive feat that they did with that. And because of this movement with Ford and Chevy, we got a bunch of cool muscle trucks. We got the 454 SS, the Lightning, we got the GMC Typhoon, the GMC Cyclone. Those are just to name a few. And that continued well into the thousands as well. We will talk about those trucks a little bit later on. And in our next episode, we'll actually talk about the second gen of the Ford Lightning. Those are the one everyone loves to hear. We'll talk about some of the performance specs, what makes that truck special, and all the pop culture references for that truck as well. But let us know down in the comments below what you guys think about the first gen Lightning. I want to hear what your guys' favorite generation of it is. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. And we'll see you guys in the next one.